Get ready, everybody, because it's time for another deep dive. You sent in some awesome excerpts from The Ultimate Book of Influence. So that's what we're diving into today.
It's an interesting book. Lots of practical tips on connecting with people, better communication, just generally succeeding in business.
Which is super relevant these days.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially in this digital age, like face-to-face skills
Right.
are becoming more and more valuable.
Yeah, more than ever, I think.
I think so, yeah. And you know what I found really interesting? This book actually talks about the e-wall.
The e-wall.
Yeah.
Like, what's that?
It's basically like that tendency we all have to hide behind our emails.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of avoid that direct interaction.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, but
It's so easy to do, right? Like, I feel like I do it all the time.
we all do. But then
Because you think email is supposed to make us more efficient?
you would think. But then it's like, how many times?
So many proposals. I feel like...
Yeah. Or like, misunderstandings happen because of like a poorly worded message or something.
Exactly.
So that's where the advice on breaking the e-wall comes in.
Okay, so breaking the e-wall, break it down for me. So are we like refusing to answer emails now?
No, not that extreme.
Okay, good.
It's more about like strategically using those tools to your advantage.
Right.
So one thing they suggest is being upfront about your preferred way to communicate.
Okay.
So instead of just like sending that initial proposal or whatever through email, you could say something like, hey, I have some ideas, but I think it would be way more productive if we could like hop on a quick call or meet up in person.
Okay, so you're like taking control
Yeah, exactly.
for the interaction from the get-go.
And setting the tone right from the start.
I like it.
Yeah.
No more hiding behind the bullet points, right?
Exactly. And then another strategy is to build in decision deadlines.
Oh, deadlines. Yeah, I like that because then it's not just like...
It creates that sense of urgency. Yeah,
Yeah, it's not just floating out there in the ether.
totally.
That's
And then
true.
another thing the book suggests is like, when you're sending a proposal, maybe strategically leave out like one piece of information
Oh, I see.
that's really compelling.
So it's like a cliffhanger.
Exactly. So it's like,
It makes them want to get on the phone with you.
yeah, it incentivizes that face-to-face interaction because they're like, what's missing? I need to know more.
I like that.
Yeah, so you're piquing their curiosity.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. And then, honestly, sometimes you just have to know when to walk away.
Oh, that's hard, though.
It is, but if someone's constantly unresponsive, it might be time to just, focus your energy elsewhere.
Yeah, I guess.
The book calls it casting off dead wood, which sounds a little harsh, but
Right, yeah, but I get it.
you got to focus on those promising opportunities.
No point chasing ghosts.
Mm.
Okay, so now on to the butterfly effect.
Oh, yes.
This is where it gets interesting to me. So it's not about chaos theory, right?
Well-
When I think butterflies, I think like, pretty delicate.
Yeah.
So what's the connection with influence?
Well, this is what's cool. The book actually reframes that feeling of, those butterflies in your stomach
Oh, okay.
as like a positive thing.
Instead of the nerves.
Yeah, it's a call to action. It's like
That's interesting.
that fluttery feeling you get like when you need to make a tough decision or tackle a challenging task.
Yeah, I usually try to ignore that feeling or just put it off.
Procrastinate.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like queen of procrastination.
But what if that wasn't actually the enemy?
Whoa.
What if it was actually good? Because the book argues that when we avoid things, that actually feeds the anxiety.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then it leads to, guilt, negativity, and ultimately it diminishes your results.
So are you saying we should like lean into the butterflies?
Yes, embrace them.
That feels counterintuitive.
It does, but think of it this way. It's like those butterflies are actually energy. It's your body getting ready for action.
I like that.
Yeah. So the key is to just recognize it as a signal to move forward, not to retreat.
Okay. I'm going to try to remember that.
Yeah.
Next time I'm feeling those butterflies, I'm going to try to see it as a green light, not a stop sign.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Love it. So now, sunset questions. Okay, this sounds kind of poetic to me.
It is.
So fill me in.
So imagine you're watching a beautiful sunset, right?
Okay.
It's a moment of reflection. You're kind of contemplating the day, envisioning what's ahead. And these questions work in the same way.
Okay.
They're powerful questions, future-focused,
Okay.
and they're designed to reveal the client's ideal outcome.
So instead of just asking them about their problems,
You're asking...
they're helping them paint a picture of their ideal future.
Exactly. And the book gives a great example of a
Oh.
question you can use. It's like, 12 months from now, for you to walk in here and say, this was the best year ever, what would have to happen? What would have to change?
Wow, yeah.
It's
That's
powerful, right?
Yeah, and it's so much deeper than just like what are your problems, you know?
Totally. It's about unlocking aspirations.
And it's not just for business, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you could use that in like your own
Absolutely.
personal life, you know? Like instead of saying like what do I want to achieve, it's like, okay, a year from now, what would make me look back and be like that was the best year of my life?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, adding that to my personal toolkit for sure.
Love it.
Okay. All right, so on to act as if. Isn't that just fake it till you make it?
It's a little bit more nuanced than that.
Go for
It's
it.
not about pretending to be someone you're not.
Sure.
It's more about embodying the qualities of the person you want to become.
So aligning your actions with your aspirations.
Yes, exactly. So it's not about faking confidence. It's about like acting in ways that build genuine confidence.
I like that. So give me the specifics. How do you act as if? Like what are some of the...
Well, the book highlights 5 areas
Oh, okay.
where you can make instant improvement. And it's posture, eye contact, smile, gratitude, and energy.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's just take posture, for example.
What?
If you stand tall and hold yourself confidently, you know.
Like that saying, stand up straight and face the world.
Exactly. It
Ah.
sends a powerful message to yourself and others.
Yeah.
It changes how you feel and how you're perceived.
But it's not just about the physical presence, right? It's like an inner shift, too.
Oh, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
a mental shift as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
When you make genuine eye contact, it conveys presence, active listening, respect.
It creates a connection,
Yes, it transcends words.
for sure. I've definitely noticed that when someone makes eye contact with me, it just makes me feel like seen and heard,
Yeah,
and it builds trust so quickly.
absolutely, yeah. And then there's smiling.
Okay, but isn't that like cheesy?
No, when it's genuine.
Okay.
A genuine smile projects warmth and approachability.
Okay.
Positivity. It disarms people, and makes them more receptive to your message.
I'm starting to see how all these little things can make a big difference.
Yeah.
Okay, what about the gratitude and energy?
So gratitude's all about cultivating a positive mindset.
Okay.
It's hard to be negative or cynical when you're feeling grateful.
Right. Yeah.
And then energy, well, enthusiasm is just contagious.
Yeah, that's true.
So when you bring that positive energy into your interactions, it's just naturally attractive.
People want to be around that.
Yeah, and influential.
So act as if is a more holistic thing. It's not just like, surface level.
Exactly.
It's aligning the inner and the outer
Inner and outer self, yes.
to project this
Yeah,
powerful, authentic presence.
exactly. Okay, so tell me about this tool called For. Does it have anything to do with cars?
That's what I was thinking.
No, it's a mnemonic,
Okay.
and it stands for family, occupation, relaxation, and dreams.
So it's a way to kind of like figure out what matters most to people.
Exactly. Uncover what's truly important to them.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and so the book suggests using 4 questions in like different contexts, to build rapport and understanding.
Oh.
Okay, so give me an example. Like, let's say I'm at a networking event
Oh, yeah.
and I want to, break the ice with somebody new.
Totally. So you could start by asking about their family, Tell me about your family. Do you have kids? Where do they go to school?
Okay, that's a good one. Everybody loves to talk about their kids.
Yeah.
So you're moving from F to O,
Exactly.
gathering intel, building rapport.
And then you could transition seamlessly into occupation, What do you do for a living? Or what's the most rewarding part of your job?
Okay, yeah, good one.
And then you can go into relaxation. What do you do for fun? Any hobbies or passions?
And then D for dreams.
Exactly. So you could be like, what are you most excited about right now? What are you working towards? What are your dreams for the future?
We're getting deep.
But the key is to listen intently
Okay.
to their responses and offer genuine validation,
So it's not just about going through the motions and asking the questions.
No.
It's about really connecting with the person.
It's about building that relationship.
Because if you're not really listening, then it's just like...
It's just surface level.
Exactly. Yeah.
So by understanding someone's 4D, you're not just making small talk.
Yeah.
You're tapping into what motivates them, what makes them tick.
Oh, that's good.
And that's incredibly powerful.
So 4 is like having a cheat sheet
I like to think of it that way.
for building meaningful
It
relationships.
takes the guesswork out
Yeah, for sure.
of understanding what's important to them.
Love it. Okay, now tell me about the pleasure-pain principle.
Oh, right.
Is this like a psychological torture technique?
No, nothing like that.
Okay, good.
It's actually like a fundamental principle of human behavior.
Okay.
We're all driven by the desire to gain pleasure or avoid pain. It's just like hardwired into us.
So like you're constantly weighing the pros and cons,
Exactly.
seeking rewards, avoiding consequences.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. So how does this apply to influence and persuasion?
Well, the book actually applies this principle to selling.
Okay.
It argues that a product or service has to either provide a pleasurable solution or help avoid a negative consequence
Licensing.
in order to be successful.
So it's not just about presenting the features and benefits.
Exactly.
It's about framing it in a way that really aligns with those core motivations.
Right, because people won't buy from you unless they see a clear benefit,
Whether it's,
either in terms of gain or avoidance.
gain or avoidance, yeah.
So it's all about understanding what your audience desires or fears and tailoring your message accordingly.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, this next one, positive, 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 negative. What is this?
All right, so it's this really powerful language pattern
Yeah.
that basically creates leverage for you by, appealing to desire and avoidance at the same time.
Yeah.
So you start by highlighting 3 positive aspects of the situation, building up that sense of momentum and possibility.
I see.
And then you introduce the shame of not taking action, creating that internal tension that motivates change.
Okay, I need an example.
Okay, so let's say you're trying to motivate someone to stick to their fitness routine. They've been hitting the gym, they're doing great, but their motivation is waning a little bit.
Right.
So you could say something like, you've been doing amazing, you've lost weight, you're feeling more energetic, you're looking great. But what a shame it would be to let all that hard work go to waste, and end up back where you started.
Ooh, yeah.
So you're acknowledging their achievements.
Yeah, but you're reminding them of the consequences
Exactly.
of backsliding.
And there's that little bit of like
a nudge.
like a velvet-covered brick.
I like that, yeah.
The book also gives an example of using this technique to inspire a sales team.
Oh, yeah.
So let's say you're talking to a team that's kind of resistant to embrace new strategies, You could say something like, you're all incredibly talented salespeople. You have a proven track record of success. You're passionate about our products, and you're dedicated to providing excellent customer service. But what a shame it would be to miss out on reaching your full potential by not embracing these new approaches.
That's a good one. Okay, so it's like a pep talk,
Yeah,
but with a subtle but powerful message.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because you're appealing to their pride, their desire for growth, and their fear of stagnation all at the same time.
Wow, okay. So many layers to that.
I know, it's really interesting.
Love it. All right, so let's talk about body language.
Yeah.
I feel like we hear about this all the time, but the book seems to really take a deep dive
Yeah, it's fascinating.
into this nonverbal world.
Yeah.
So what are some of the key takeaways?
Well, it's amazing how much we can learn from observing those nonverbal cues,
Yeah.
They often reveal way more than words ever could.
Right.
And the book highlights several key signals to pay attention to. One is touching the nose.
Right.
That can indicate potential deception or discomfort.
So if someone's touching their nose while they're talking,
Yeah, if you're in a meeting.
it could be a sign that they're not being totally truthful,
Or that they're feeling uneasy.
or maybe they just have an itch.
Maybe. You always have to consider the context.
Yeah, for sure.
But when it's combined with other cues, it can be really telling.
Oh.
Another one is scratching the neck,
Okay.
which often suggests disagreement or withholding information.
So even if they're saying they agree, their body might be saying, no way.
Yeah, it's like a silent protest.
I like it. What are some other signs?
Another one is pulling the collar,
Okay.
which signals a desire to escape or disengage from the conversation.
Oh, I've seen that. When someone's feeling trapped.
Yeah, or uncomfortable, they're trying to create some space.
Yeah. Physically trying to loosen their collar.
Exactly. And then there's foot direction.
Okay.
So if someone's foot is pointing away from you,
Away from you, okay?
it could mean they're not interested or they're ready to leave.
Their body's already headed for the door.
It's like they're saying, I'm out of here,
Yeah.
but not saying it.
Yeah. Okay, what about defensive body posture?
Cross arms, leaning back.
Like they're putting up a wall.
Exactly.
Okay.
Those are all signs that someone's feeling resistant or closed off.
Don't come any closer.
Yeah, exactly.
What about when they grab the bottom of their chair and lean forward?
Oh, yeah.
Like they're about to blast off.
The book calls that the blast off,
Oh, yeah.
which is a perfect name for it
Okay.
because it means they're done. They're ready to go.
Like the meeting's over in their mind.
They've heard enough. They're ready to move on. So if you see someone doing that,
Wrap it up.
it's like time to wrap things up and figure out next steps.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is all so fascinating. I love this stuff. It's amazing how much we can learn from just, paying attention to those nonverbal cues.
It really is like learning a secret language,
Yeah.
And by understanding it, you can enhance your communication, build stronger relationships, increase your influence in all areas of life.
So powerful.
It is, yeah.
I love it.
It really is. It can make such a difference. Building on that, this whole idea of connection, the book talks about how to make yourself stand out, like how to differentiate yourself, especially in a crowded marketplace.
Okay, so like finding your unique selling proposition,
Yeah.
your competitive edge. How do you do that? Especially these days.
Right. Well, they talk about this concept of separation points.
Separation points.
Okay, so it's basically identifying the specific qualities or features or whatever that make you stand out, like different from everybody else.
Instead of blending in, you want to be the one that...
Yeah, you want to be the one they can't take their eyes off of.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So how do we figure out what our separation points are?
So it's definitely about knowing your strengths, but it's also about really understanding your competitors. Like, what are they doing well? Where are they falling short? And then, most importantly, where do you fit in?
Right. Yeah.
What are you offering that they're not?
Okay, so it's like a competitive SWOT analysis,
Yeah, exactly.
but with a laser focus on differentiation.
I like that. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, okay. But what if you're in an industry that's known for, like, let's say, high prices
Yeah.
or a not-so-great reputation? How do you address those things?
That's a good question. And the book actually suggests tackling them head on.
Okay.
Like, be transparent, be proactive. So, for example, if you're in an industry that's known for high prices,
Right.
you might emphasize the long-term value you provide,
Right.
or the expertise you bring to the table, or even the cost savings that clients can achieve.
Right, so acknowledge the elephant in the room.
Exactly.
And then explain why
Yeah,
your value proposition outweighs those negatives.
exactly. Okay, so have you ever heard of this move to the side questioning technique?
Ooh, to the side.
It's an interesting one. It's all about uncovering those deeper motivations,
Okay.
especially when someone seems fixated on a more surface level concern.
So give me an example.
Okay, so let's say you have a client that's laser focused on price.
Oh, yeah. Been there.
They just keep saying, I want the cheapest option. I want the cheapest option.
Happens all the time.
But you offer way more than just the lowest price, right?
Right, yeah, yeah.
So how do you move to the side? Well, you acknowledge their concern, but then you gently shift the focus.
Okay.
So you could say something like, I understand price is a factor, but aside from money, what's most important to you when choosing a provider?
I see. So you're not dismissing their concern about the price,
No, you're validating it.
but you're inviting them to think deeper.
Exactly. And you might be surprised by what they say because maybe reliability is actually super important to them.
Right.
Or maybe they really value a provider who understands their specific needs.
You're opening up the conversation.
Yes. And you're having a much richer, more meaningful conversation.
It's like peeling back the layers of the onion.
I love that analogy.
Yeah. Getting to the core.
To the core of what matters.
Okay, the book also gives an example of how to use this in a relationship.
It does, yeah. So imagine you've had a disagreement with your partner.
Okay.
And instead of getting stuck in this loop of blame, you could say, okay, well, aside from this argument, what's most important for our relationship?
So you're shifting the focus from the problem to the solution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. You're
Yeah.
moving from the past to the future.
I like that.
So powerful. So now let's talk about a slightly more, how do I put this? Aggressive technique. It's called the street fight question.
Street fight. Oh, this sounds intense.
It is. It's about identifying your main competitor, the one you really need to overcome.
Okay.
So think of it like this. In a street fight, you really only want to be facing one opponent at a time.
Right. Focus your energy.
Exactly. Take them down one by one. So in business, the street fight question is this. Aside from us, who else are you considering? And if you had to pick just one other company, who would it be?
Oh, so you're forcing them to narrow it down
Yes.
to reveal their top contender.
Exactly. And this is how you get that strategic intel.
Because now you know who you really need to beat.
Right. And then you can tailor your strategy accordingly.
I like it. It's like a chess game almost,
Yes.
You got to anticipate your opponent's moves.
Exactly. Know your battlefield and choose your battles wisely.
Okay, now this next one, switching hats.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one.
This is something I feel like we all do every day,
We do, yeah.
but usually without even thinking about it.
Unconsciously.
Yeah. So how does the book apply this to influence?
Well, it's all about being mindful of the different roles we play, right?
Uh,
And the different communication styles that those roles require.
So like we might be a parent 1 minute.
Yeah, then a friend, then a colleague.
Right. And each interaction needs a different approach.
A different hat, so to speak.
Exactly. So it's about being aware of the context,
Uh-huh.
adapting your communication style.
Yes, exactly. So how do we switch hats consciously and effectively,
Good question.
especially in a professional setting? The book really emphasizes being explicit, like signaling that change.
Okay.
So let's say you're a parent, you're having a serious conversation with your kid. You might say, all right, I'm going to put my dad hat on for a minute. This is important.
Okay, so you're setting a boundary.
Yeah, it's like saying, this is not playtime anymore. We need to talk.
Right, got it.
And then like professionally,
Okay.
let's say you're talking to your team about a project
Uh-huh.
and you need to, switch from brainstorming to decision making.
Right.
You could say something like, okay, everybody, time to switch hats. We've got some great ideas. Now we need to decide.
I see. So you're signaling that shift in the conversation.
Exactly.
It helps to get everyone on the same page.
Yeah, prevent misunderstandings.
It's like a mental reset button.
Exactly, exactly. And those hat switches can be really subtle
Oh,
or more overt depending on the situation.
right.
But the key is to be intentional about it.
Okay, be intentional and be transparent.
Yes, exactly.
This is so helpful. It's like we have all these tools now
I know, it's a lot.
for navigating all these complex interactions.
Yeah.
From breaking down that e-wall to understanding body language
Mhm.
to, differentiation, connection. It's a lot.
We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still more to come.
Okay, what else does the book have for us? I feel like we're getting a PhD in human behavior.
Right. It's like all these little secrets of influence.
And it comes back to that idea of authenticity.
Oh, for sure. It's not about manipulation.
Yeah,
It's about truly connecting with people.
and understanding them.
Yeah, because like influence at its core is about tapping into human nature
Right.
and using that knowledge to create win-win outcomes.
Okay, so before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
The e-wall.
That barrier we were talking about.
Yeah, like how does all this apply in today's world
Right.
with so much remote work and virtual meetings?
Yeah.
Because I feel like the e-wall is even taller now in some way.
Oh, absolutely. The landscape has definitely changed, but a lot of the core principles,
Uh-huh.
they still apply. Like even in a virtual setting,
Yeah.
you can still dictate the communication method.
Right?
So if you feel like a conversation would be more productive over video, just ask for it.
Yeah, turn those cameras on. Let's see those genuine smiles, people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, body language.
Right. What about that? I feel like in a virtual setting, it's just like
It's tough.
disembodied heads floating on a screen.
Yeah, it can feel that way, but you can still use it to your advantage, even if it's just like, sitting up straight,
Okay.
making eye contact with the camera,
Right.
using hand gestures, that kind of thing.
So you're still showing that you're present, you're engaged.
Yeah, you're enthusiastic.
Okay. What about those sunset questions?
Oh, those are great.
Can you still use those effectively in a virtual setting?
Yeah, they're just as potent, for sure. So you might ask, what would make this project a huge success for you? Or what are your top priorities for this quarter? It's about really understanding.
Getting those motivations out.
Exactly.
Okay, and 40, but it feels like that could be especially powerful now when it's so easy to feel disconnected.
Totally. Yeah,
Like we were saying, people crave that connection,
I do.
whether it's online or in person.
Yeah,
So taking that time to ask about their family, their interests, their dreams,
all of that.
those little things can make a big difference.
Yeah, it's those human touches that really matter.
So even though the way we communicate has changed, the fundamentals of influence,
They haven't changed.
they're still there.
They're timeless.
It's all about understanding human nature
Exactly.
and adapting our approach.
To meet the demands of our world.
Yeah. Wow. What an amazing deep dive into the world of influence. We've covered so much.
I know, right?
So many practical tools, strategies for better communication, understanding motivations.
How to use language strategically, all of that.
Yeah. And the best part is, these tools are available to everybody.
They are, yeah.
You can start using them today.
Absolutely.
In your personal life, in your work life.
In all areas of your life.
So as we wrap up, here's a challenge for everyone listening. Think about all the strategies we talked about today.
Mm-hmm.
Which one resonated with you the most? And how can you actually use it in your own life, starting today?
Yeah. And remember those sunset questions. Ask yourself, what small step can I take today to become a more influential and persuasive communicator?
Great question. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep influencing.